Hello and welcome back everyone. Today we are diving into a pivotal unit in our MEG-05 journey. Block number 1, unit number 3, titled 20th Century Developments. This unit marks a significant turning point in the history of literary criticism. The 20th century witnessed a radical shift in how we approach and analyze literature and moving away from some of the more historical or biographical methods of the past towards a diverse range of new theoretical frameworks. Buckle up, because we are about to explore some groundbreaking ideas that have shaped the way we read and understand literature today. The shift from historical and textual focus. Before we delve into specific theories, it's crucial to understand a key change that occurred in the early 20th century. Traditionally, literary criticism often focused on the author's life, the historical context of the work, or moral and philosophical interpretations. However, the 20th century saw a growing emphasis on the text itself as the primary object of study. This shift paved the way for many of the theories we will be discussing, which focuses on the internal working of literary works and how they create meaning. Formalism and structuralism. Formalism, one of the earliest and most influential movements in the new direction, was formalism, originating in Russia in the early 20th century. Russian formalism aimed to develop a scientific approach to the study of literature. Formalist focuses on the literariness of a text, what makes it different from other forms of writing. Key concepts included defamiliarizations, which is the idea that literature makes familiar objects seem strange or new to enhance our perception, and the analysis of specific literary devices like plot, character, and narrative structure. They argued that the context of a literary work was less important than the technique and devices the writer used to shape that context. Structuralism. Building up on some of the ideas of formalism, structuralism emerged a bit later, particularly in the mid-20th century, drawing heavily on the field of linguistics, especially the work of Ferdinand de Saussure. Structuralists believe that meaning in language and literature doesn't arise from individual words or elements in isolation but from their relationship within a large system or structure. They looked for underlying patterns and codes that govern how text operates and how meaning is produced. For example, they might analyze recurring motifs or narrative structures across different stories to identify universal patterns or themes. Psychoanalytic criticism. Another major development in 20th century literary theory was the applications of psychoanalysis, particularly the theories of Sigmund Freud. Freudian psychoanalysis posits that our behavior and thoughts are influenced by unconscious desires and conflicts. Literary critics using the approach analyze characters, motivations, the symbolism within texts, and even the author's own psyche through the lens of Freudian concepts like the id, ego, and superego, the Oedipus complex, and the significance of dreams and the unconscious. Later, the ideas of Jacques Lacan, another influential psychoanalyst, also become significant in literary theory with his focus on language and the mirror stage in the development of the self. Number 5. Marxist criticism. Marxist criticism takes a different approach rooted in the theories of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. It views literature as a product of its socio-economic context and examines how power, class struggle, and ideology are represented in literary works. Marxist criticism analyzes how dominant social and economic steps shape the creations and reception of literature and often focus on how literature might reflect or challenge these systems. They might explore themes of alienations, exploitations, and social inequality within texts and how these issues relate to the material conditions of their time. Number 6. Feminist criticism. First and second wave. The 20th century also saw the rise and development of feminist criticism. Initially, first wave feminism in the early 20th century focused on issues of women's suffrage and basic rights. In literary studies, this led to a focus on female authors and the portrayal of women in literature, often highlighting stereotypes and challenging the patriarchal perspectives. Later, the second wave of feminism in the mid-20th century brought a more in-depth analysis of gender as a social construct and how patriarchal structures influence literature, language, and culture. Feminist critics began to reread and re-evaluate literary canons, questioning male-centric perspectives and seeking to recover and celebrate women's writing. Number 7. Neo-historical and cultural materialism. In the later part of the 20th century, we saw the emergence of approaches like neo-historicism and cultural materialism. These theories emphasize the importance of the historical and cultural context in which a literary work is created and interpreted. Neo-historical argue that literary texts are not isolated artifacts but are intertwined with the social, political, and economic force of their time. They often focus on a relationship between literature and power, examining how literary works reflect and are shaped by the dominant ideologies of their era. Cultural materialism, a related approach particularly associated with the British critique, also emphasizes the historical context but often with a more explicitly political focus on issues of power and social change. Number 8. Reader response theory. Reader response theory marked a significant shift in focus, moving away from the text itself and towards the reader. This approach emphasizes that meaning is not inherent in the text but is created through the interaction between the reader and the text. Different readers with their unique backgrounds, experiences, and perspective will inevitably interpret a text in different ways. Reader response critics explore the reading process itself and how readers actively construct meaning as they engage with a literary work. Number 9. Post-structuralism and Deconstruction. Finally, we come to post-structuralism and its important prominent manifestations, deconstruction. Emerging in the latter half of the 20th century, these theories challenge the stable systems of meaning and structuralism proposed. Deconstruction, particularly associated with the work of Jacques Derrida, questions the very idea of fixed meaning in language. It emphasizes the inherent instability and ambiguity of texts, arguing the language is inherently slippery and that meaning is always deferred or differed. Derrida's concept of difference. Deconstruction often involves identifying the dismantling binary oppositions within a text, like good, evil, or male, female, to reveal their inherent contradictions and instability. In the conclusion, as you can see, the 20th century was a period of immense innovations and change in the world of literary criticism. From the focus on the text itself in formalism and structuralism to the explorations of the unconscious in psychoanalytic criticism, the socio-economic lens of Marxism, the focus on gender in feminism, the historical contextualizations of new historicism, the reader-centered approach or reader response theory, and the questioning of meaning in post-structuralism and deconstruction. These developments have profoundly shaped how we read, analyze, and understand literature today. Understanding these key moments is crucial as we move forward in our study of MEG-05. With and delve into more specific theoretical concepts, join me in the next video where we will explore the functions of criticism in Unit 4. Thanks for watching.